I'm Ilona Popper, and this is Bear Creek Council's quick safety tips for living with cougars. In this short video, two experts are going to talk to us about what to expect and what are the best ways of sharing the land with cougars. We'll hear from Dan Staler, wildlife biologist, Yellowstone National Park, and Jay Colby, wildlife biologist, Montana Fish Wildlife and Parks. These biologists talk more about these beautiful, elusive animals in our webinar on this site, Living with Cougars. You can find out more about Bear Creek Council and other Living with Wildlife programs there on the site too. Where I live, cougars are my neighbors. Yet here and in most areas around the world, cougars live furtive and secluded lives. The reality is cougars don't often attack humans. They can be dangerous, but through most of their range in the United States and around the world, they very, very rarely tangle with people. As with other large carnivores, the choices you make can keep you and the big cats safe as you live or travel in cougar country. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dan Staler, and I'm a wildlife biologist in Yellowstone National Park. And part of my role here is to study mountain lions, or the cougar. Now, if you spend a lot of time outdoors in places where cougars live, you've probably been close to a cougar. And you may not have known it, but the cougar knew you were there, even though you didn't see him. And you survived that encounter, and you'll likely survive your next and be very unaware of your next encounter. So simply put, cougar sightings are rare. Actual direct encounters are even more so, and that makes attacks extremely rare. Over the last 120 years, there's been 27 deaths over the course of about 125 attacks. And given that there's thousands of mountain lions living on the landscape, it just shows you our ability to coexist with these animals and how often they avoid us. Now, if you do spend time and recreate in cougar country, it's important to really understand something about their biology and how you might behave. And in natural cougar behavior would be that cougars would be uneasy around humans. Like most wildlife, they're wary, they're fearful, and they usually try to move away from you if you get close. What you want to be aware of is if you were to see a cougar, you would not want them to approach you or to lock onto you in a crouch. That would indicate a potential predatory behavior, or any effort for that animal to get close to you would be something you want to be aware of. And in most cases with encounters with cougars, if they at all are acting aggressive, it might often be a defensive mother with young in the area. Occasionally younger cougars that are inexperienced with hunting might be triggered to chase or pursue with a runner, a jogger, a mountain biker, and those are some of the more common cases that we hear about. Now, if you recreate in cougar country, here's some things you should think about. One, you should always be aware of your surroundings at all time, and we call that situational awareness, making sure you are know what the potential risks are around you. We would always encourage people to hike in groups and make noise to alert wildlife to your presence. If you were to have children with you, small children in particular, you'd want to keep those children close to you, teach them about wildlife, teach them about the risks, and always be aware of where they are. If you're camping out there, it's important to keep your campsites clean, just like we would with recreating and worrying about bear safety or bear encounters. And you would want to sleep, over 100 yards away from your cooking. You'd want to store your food in animal-proof containers, or hang your food up into trees at night. Carry bear spray. It's an incredibly valuable tool, not only for bears, wolves, other wildlife, but for cougars as well. Be cautious at dusk and dawn. That is the period of time when cougars are more likely to be active compared to the middle of the day. Don't approach any wildlife, and stay at least 100 yards away should you encounter them. If you were to see a young animal, a cougar kitten, obviously you want to avoid being near them because the mother is likely nearby. Be alert and quiet and aware when you are stopping to rest, and be aware of, let other people be aware of where you are, particularly if you're hiking alone, so people understand when you might be expected to come back out from the backcountry or a hike on the trail. Now, should you encounter a cougar, here are some things to keep in mind. Now, the natural behavior for a cougar would be to retreat. And so you want to give them that opportunity. Give a cougar an avenue to escape. So if you're on a trail and you're near a cliff wall on one side, move to the side and give that animal space to move away, because most likely it's going to want to run away from you. It's important to maintain direct eye contact actually with that cougar. When they're hunting their natural prey, like a deer or an elk, an elk or deer that isn't aware of the cougar is more likely to be stalked and ambushed, attacked. And so if you're maintaining eye contact with that cougar, it's going to see you directly and be aware that you are aware of its presence and less likely to actually attack and view you as prey. If you had children with you and you saw a cougar up close, you want to pick up that child and keep it close to you, making sure that your child is safe. You want to back away slowly. You never want to run, because running can trigger a chase response in cougars, because that's what their prey would do if a prey animal saw a cougar stalking it, and that running could trigger an attack. You'd want to raise your voice and your arms. If you had a jacket, you'd open it up like this and make yourself big. If you had sticks or rocks nearby, you would pick them up and have those and even throw those at the cougar. Oftentimes that's all that takes is you to hit it with a rock or a stick and basically snap that cougar out of its stalking mode and teach it that you are not a prey and that it should be wary from you. If a cougar seems aggressive and comes at you in that very unusual event that it might actually physically make contact with you, you would want to fight back. Unlike with bears, where you recommended to play dead should a bear attack you, in most encounters with a cougar, you'd want to fight. Punch it in the face, grab it, tear at it, pull it, and using sticks or rocks would be even more advantageous. And of course, if you had bear spray on you, bear spray is a very useful tool for keeping a cougar from coming close to you. And report all sightings and abnormal behavior if you're out there on the trail and you encounter a cougar. But most importantly, make sure you're enjoying those open landscapes and not out there in fear of the attack of a cougar, because it is so rare. And instead enjoy being out there, but be aware of the presence of these other animals and how to manage your safety and the safety of those animals as well. Thank you.
My name's Jay Colby. I'm an area wildlife biologist for Montana Fish Wildlife Parks. Biologists and wardens from state management agencies, park rangers within national parks are often called to respond to lion conflicts or lion sightings. And I think it's really important that if a homeowner or a recreationist sees a lion, especially during the day, that could be the very first indication that you may have a lion that's becoming more accustomed to human activity, becoming habituated to human development. Lion behavior tends to escalate when you begin to see lions during the daytime around development. That could be the first indication of that habituation, and that behavior, if not addressed, can tend to progress from habituation to nuisance behavior and ultimately to dangerous behavior. So we just ask that if folks begin to see a mountain lion around homes or livestock or pets, call your state agency immediately. Different states have different organizations, but generally a warden or a biologist will call you back. And we here in Montana have had very good luck intervening with non-lethal hazing or the removal of whatever attractant caused the animal to begin to use that developed area. And by doing that early, have had real good luck heading off that habituation or that pattern of habituation and not having to proceed to a more aggressive or lethal response. So that's what I'd offer is that if you begin to see a lion, especially during daytime, or if it's hanging around developed areas consistently, get a hold of your state agency and see if we can't implement some of these non-lethal interventions early, so that we won't eventually have to remove a lion from